In the last video, we created a C# program to count the number of nodes, and I wanted you to know that theoretically that's possible with the vocabulary. So let me just show you real quick here. We'll do a copy and then a paste. And I say theoretically because it's just too difficult, I think. I think once you've done it and get it down, maybe it's easy, but I find doing it in C# much easier myself. So what you do is here you would say add new definition, and it's going to be an XML document. And then here, for instance, you'd say count number of asset nodes. You would have to browse to your schema, of course, which we have to go find again here. So we want to count the number of assets, which is that node right there. Now, somewhere between here and here, you should be able to tell it you want to count those nodes. So the theory goes something like this. You have the XPath selector and you have the XPath field. And if you want to read more about that, you could Google BizTalk and then put XPath selector, XPath field, and count, and then do some Google research on it. So what I'm going to attempt here is just to go down to assets plural. Then we're going to take everything off after that. Then here I'm going to say count. You notice as soon as I type something into that field, it now gives me the ability to set the type. So I want to return the number, which is now the count of, this time I think I can actually say asset, because you notice here assets didn't have a namespace. So loan processor case, root had a namespace, but assets plural, an asset, didn't have a namespace. So I should be able to say count / asset, or even / star, and that's going to be a get. And let's just again give this a try. So to make a good test of this, I need to go back to my schema one more time, and we'll now have a potential third way of finding this. So we'll copy, actually let's just copy this element. We'll paste it at the top, and then we'll change the name. Put a 3 on the end there. You notice we don't even have to build our solution to do this business rule. It's all working off of the schema and the XPath, so no build is required here. Now I go back to my business rule. We'll have to save this rule, or this vocabulary, and publish it. And now we'll go back to this Neil demo, and it's saved, but it's not deployed or anything. So what we need now is we need to refresh our schema sitting over here. Well, actually we don't have a schema, so we'll go browse and get that directory name again. And now we're looking for BRE3 count, and then equals, and now we're going to put our vocabulary over there. So go back to vocab, the highest version 1.5, and drag this count number of asset nodes there. Click save, and we'll give it a try. Last time I messed with this, I didn't have a lot of luck. Maybe today what I'm doing might be a little easier than what I was doing before. So I did right-click test policy. Oh, and of course before we test it, we need to do again one more thing. Our file that we're testing here, remember right now the way we have it set up, the business rule cannot create new nodes. It can only update nodes that exist. So we need to add this new field here, BRE3. And just to see if it runs or not, what we can do is put empty values there and save that. Okay, now back here we still have sample 2, and we can click test. And it says, of course, exception occurred. It doesn't like our vocabulary. So it's like, first of all, wouldn't it have been nicer if it would have validated this in the vocabulary and not waited till we run it? It says in int32, blah, 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 exception has been thrown, count asset has an invalid token. So you see what I mean? That's pretty hard to figure out what that means. So now since we published it, of course we can't change it, right? So what do we have to do? Copy. And just to even look at it again, really, we have to paste it. And then we would go back to this, click next, and it says something about this it doesn't like. Okay, off the video I made one change. I took the star out between // and asset. Maybe I was forgetting my XPath. And now getting a better answer. It says unable to convert system double to system int32, which sounds pretty close. Why would they use system double? I don't know. Counts should always be integers, right? So one more time, let's take our version 6 of our vocabulary and let's make a version 7 now. And we'll click that. Next. This is where I took the asterisk out a while ago. And notice this field is not even available to change right now. So what if I take that out? See what a pain this is? I mean, if I put the value in here and I want to change this to a double, how do I do that? And it looks like you can't. So, see, this is just too much pain for me. I'd rather just do it in C#. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Notepad so we can save everything. And what we're going to have to do is copy our XPath selector, put over here, and then we're going to copy our XPath field and even our name, I guess, just so we're consistent. And now we have to pretty much delete and re-add this. So let's delete it. Now we'll say add new definition, XML, next, paste that, and then let's browse, and let's pick our asset. Okay, and then remember we're going to change this to take off the last node. And when you type in this field, this is when the type becomes available. This time we're going to make it it said it liked double, right? So we'll leave it as system double. Now we'll go back to our notepad, copy this, and then we'll click finish. Now we have to save and publish our vocabulary, and now remember that this rule is still hard coded. If I click here, count number of asset nodes, well, wait, if I right click and say go to vocabulary, it's showing you that it's using the 1.6 version. So remember, I have to delete that, come down to the 1.7 version, copy that in, and now I can save and test my rules. So save, right click, test policy. So I click test, and now we're going to see if we still get the same conversion error or not. Okay, so now it sounds like maybe the conversion might be in my schema. So let's go to our schema. You can see how that didn't convert. And let's look at BRE3 here. All three of our BRE fields are integers, but for whatever reason, let's make this a double or a decimal. It seems like if it's, maybe it's a null. Maybe that's why it's not working. Anyway, if it should be able to convert, you would think a number like 4 double to a 4 integer, but let's see what happens now. So back to the rule, right click test again. Click, make sure we have that, and then do test. And see, this is what I call craziness. Unable to convert double to integer 32. So somewhere in the brains of the business rule vocabulary, it can't convert this number. So, I'm sure I could work this out. I might even have to open a ticket with Microsoft. I don't know. But my point is, if you write it in C#, we've already done it. It takes like 5 minutes. Or you can deal with this hidden stuff, what you don't really know what it does. Obviously, again, it'd be perfect if we learned how to use it, just exactly like it is. But there's very little documentation on these two fields here called XPath selector and XPath field. So I recommend doing anything like this in C#. Actually, there's some helps right here. Let's look at this. It says an exception occurred when invoking class. Exception has been thrown by the target. Count asset has an invalid token. Now note that is count // which I think I took the star out, right? But maybe it put it back in. And it says unable to convert double to integer for field count asset. Notice there is no star there. In XML document so-and-so, selector so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. And then it did it 3 times. So we see that these two still worked, and this one, for whatever reason, is having this issue with the conversion. So I'd say take my advice and do it in C#.